Okay, so this week we're going to be talking about adjectives and adverbs. So just to remind you what those are, adjectives modify nouns and pronouns, and then adverbs modify verbs, adjectives, other adverbs. They answer how, when, where, why, and to what extent. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the ways that we compare things using these. Okay, so in order to talk about this, I'm going to make a chart and I'm going to label it positive, comparative, and superlative. Okay, and these are called degrees. Okay, so positive degree, comparative degree, and superlative degree. Okay, now I know that sounds kind of intimidating, but really it's not bad. Okay, here's how it works. If I'm talking about somebody, let's say, and I want to say that person is tall, so that is how I would describe that person if it's just one thing. Okay, so positive degree is when I'm just making a statement about one person or thing, and I'm saying, you know, Vicky is tall, kind of. Okay, anyway. Then let's say that I were going to talk about one of my sisters, okay? So I could say that my sister is taller than I am, okay? So comparative degree, let me switch markers here because this one's not writing as dark as I want. But you notice here I added the ER, okay? So taller, that is what I use when I'm comparing two things or two people. Okay? Then when I'm comparing three or more, so this would be if I had a third person that I was going to compare to, I would say my oldest sister is the tallest. Okay? So again, Vicky is tall, but Vicky's sister Tracy is taller than Vicky. And then Nadine, Vicky's oldest sister, is the tallest of the three. So really all you need to know is that when I'm talking about one thing, I just use the normal adjective form. Tall, smart, hungry, you know, it doesn't matter what it is. And then when I'm comparing two things or people, I'm going to use ER words and RE words, okay? When I'm comparing three or more, it's going to be ST words, okay? So let's just try this now, all right? We have some words that you can just add ER to, and then we have others that you can't, okay? So let's try something like beautiful, okay? Beautiful, that's supposed to be an A there, by the way. And then we can't say beautifuler, right? So what we have to do is we have to say more beautiful. And then if we're comparing three or more, then we're going to say most beautiful. Okay, so this is all we're talking about with degrees of comparison. It's not very difficult really at all. The PowerPoint is going to be very helpful. I would recommend that you review that several times. But basically, we're just talking about this concept here, okay? Now, let me just explain something else here now. We don't have degrees of comparison for certain words, okay? So let me explain what I mean by that. These are called absolutes. Absolutes are words that don't have any degree of comparison. For example, the word unique, okay? Unique is, it means one of a kind, and so you can't really be more of a one of a kind, okay? It either is or it isn't. Or if something is round, it's either round or it's not round. I mean, if it's not round, it might be straight, or it might be oval, or something like that. So we have a list of words, and these are in the PowerPoint, by the way, that identify these words that are considered absolutes and they don't have degrees of comparison. So you can't say things like unique or more unique, okay? We have a different way of expressing those, okay? And let me just mention a couple of other ones. One of them is perfect. One of them is the word right, R-I-G-H-T, okay? So I would just review this list so that you know which ones are absolutes and you have to treat them a little bit differently. Okay. I think I'll use a different color since this one seems to be getting worn out. Okay, so let's try, let's say that I were going to take something like unique. Okay, because this is an absolute, I have to treat it differently. So what you have to say is, I know this is going to sound weird to you guys, but this is what you would say to be correct. More nearly unique. Okay? And then of course if I'm doing 3 or more, it's going to be most, I can't fit this, so I'm going to have to write it like this. Most nearly unique. Okay? The same thing is going to be true of the other ones that we have on in the list of absolutes. Okay? So if, let's say we have a word like complete. Okay? And I say that project is complete. But if I'm comparing it to something else, because there are no degrees of comparison, I would have to say more nearly complete, and then most nearly complete. Okay, sorry that, I know that's kind of hard to read probably there. Okay, so you're going to see in the PowerPoint, it's going to take you through, show you a lot of different adjectives that I'm not going to be going through here, so you're going to definitely want to pay attention to that PowerPoint. And this is probably the most difficult concept in this chapter, is these absolutes and remembering that they need to be used differently than other comparisons, okay? So let me just talk about a couple of other things. This is not going to be a very long lecture, okay? But let's say that you're using words like these or, you know, this, things like that, okay? One of the things that people do all the time when they talk is they mix these up with inappropriate combinations, okay? And what I mean by that is they'll say things like, I like these type of movies, okay? They'll say this. I like these type of movies. Well, here's the problem. This is plural. This is not. I have to say these types. Okay? And if I want to talk about just one, I could say I don't like this type of movie. Okay? So then I would do like this. But the key is these need to match. Okay? And it's going to be the same thing with that. And these are those. Or sorry, those. I already have these. Okay, so it would be like that type or those types. Okay, so I'm just trying to key you in on some different things that you could encounter this week. Alright, so that's not a very difficult concept there. Okay, here's another thing, is the treatment of a versus an when you write, okay? When we use a, we use it with words that start with a consonant sound. Okay, now this is the thing that's critical in this section, is that it's the sound. It doesn't matter if it starts with a consonant. It has to sound like a consonant. So in other words, I could say like a house, right? I can hear that H, H sound, right? Whereas if I'm using an, I use this with a word that follows that has a vowel sound, okay? So, for example, I can have another word that starts with H, and even though this is a consonant, listen to what it sounds like. An honor. Okay, it sounds like a short O, right? So, I have to use an before that. What that means is that, like, let's say you have MBA, which is an abbreviation. Again, that's a consonant, right? But listen to what it sounds like. An MBA, okay? So if it says an MBA, then you can hear that consonant sound right here, okay? So that's all you need to think about with that. Not too bad, okay? And it just takes practice to know how to use it there. Okay. Some other things to think about is how to treat adjectives and adverbs when it comes to linking verbs, okay? Let's say that I use the linking verb feel, okay? A lot of people make the mistake of saying things like this: I feel badly about that. When really, badly is an adverb, we need to have an adjective. So here's the key. When you have a linking verb, you will never have an adverb coming after it to modify this, because adverbs don't modify pronouns, right? So bad is being linked back to I, which is our subject and our pronoun. Okay? And it's an adjective, so it's appropriate. So you don't want to ever say I feel badly, okay, because it's not correct. Okay? Let's see, what are some other things? What if I said something like, now this is a different kind of a sentence, but what if I gave you the choice of real or really, and then I gave bad, okay? How do you know when to use these? Well, this one is an adjective, this one is an adverb, okay? So what you have to decide is how it's being used. In this case, really means the same thing as very, right? So if that works, if I can say I feel very bad, then my correct answer is really, okay? Let's try another one. Let's try real and really again. And here's the key. Is it going to be slow or slowly? Okay, so I'm giving you two different issues here. Okay, so if it's asking you how she drove, remember that adverbs answer how, okay? So if it's asking how she drove, then that's an adverb. That's going to be slowly. She drove slowly, okay? Now, because I've got real and really, you have to decide what is it talking about here. If it's talking about slowly, how slowly, then it's going to be really slowly. And again, if I can put very in place of it, I know it's really, okay? So you're going to be asked at different points to choose between adjectives and adverbs. So you're going to want to make sure you remember your definition of those, okay, and how they work. Okay, another concept that you'll be dealing with is what do you do when you have what's called a compound adjective coming before the noun it modifies. So let me just give you an example. What if I said we looked at 3-story apartments? I'm going to have to squeeze this in because I'm running out of room. So you notice here I've got two words that are used as an adjective for apartments, okay? Anytime I have two words or more that work together as an adjective to modify the noun that follows it, I have to hyphenate, okay? So and if I were to, what if I said we looked at 2, that's supposed to be a W there, it doesn't look very good, let me try it again. 2 and 3 bedroom apartments. Okay? Here's the thing. If I'm saying that we looked at 2-bedroom apartments and we looked at 3-bedroom apartments, remember these are coming before the noun they modify, I have to put a hyphen here and here to signify that they both apply to this 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, referring to apartments, okay? Now there are some exceptions. You don't hyphenate ly words or ly adverbs, so you will see that from the PowerPoint. And then there are some words that are always hyphenated, whether they come before or after the noun, okay? One of those is up to date, no matter what. Whether I say up to date appointment, or the appointment was up to date, it's not going to matter. It's hyphenated, okay? Another thing that's always hyphenated is part-time now, full-time, okay? And there are some other ones I think that are mentioned in the PowerPoint that you'll have to try to recall there too, okay? So basically, you're going to be asked to choose between adjectives and adverbs throughout the week. And what I really recommend is reviewing the PowerPoint, because I think you're going to get a lot out of that. And then make sure that you practice these exercises that we're going to be doing this week. Okay? And if I think of anything that I missed here, I'll bring it up when we meet again. All right? Thanks a lot.